We just talked about IRIDIKRON. A lot. He is the opposite of Neltharion, but the twin of Neltharion on the other side. Who would win in a battle? Interesting. Let's see what Doran, the ultimate speculator, thinks about who would win, IRIDIKRON versus Neltharion / Deathwing.
On one side, we have the Primal Incarnate IRIDIKRON, the one that brought the conflict to a whole new level. So far, the smartest villain we've had in WoW that doesn't underestimate us and call us petty mortals. He's bent on the strong
Yeah,
Titan
sure.
influence,
He's not
makes
underestimating
terrible
us.
bargains with mysterious forces, he has a terrible hunger, and unlike Deathwing,
If it's not a
he
rap
is
battle, the
actually
results
still
are
around.
not
On the
good,
other
please.
side, we have the Elemental Dragon raised into an aspect through the Titans that further
need
empowered
an 8
himself
Mile
with the
style rap
Void
video.
and Shadow Flame. Neltharion froze the dragon in time, imprisoned Razaget with a single spell, and most importantly, actually imprisoned IRIDIKRON
I vote
Ancient Past.
Deathwing.
Both of these guys are like two exact same characters, just on two different sides, aspects of the Earth that made terrible bargains for their own goals. So, taking everything into consideration, their history, characteristics, abilities, who is stronger, and who would win in a battle, the
Let's
Ancient
see, who
Neltharion
do you guys think? Who do people in chat think? Chat's even active. Who's thinking Neltharion? Who's thinking IRIDIKRON? I mean, maybe because we know him better. But I think Neltharion. I don't know. He just seems like more of a badass to me.
pre-Deathwing or
Both are smart.
IRIDIKRON.
Both are smart. Mario? Yeah, okay. The Italian? That makes sense. It's canon that Eminem made... Oh. Oh, there you go. Ridge wallet. Key cases. Get your key cases. Yeah, use Doran. Put that in your back pocket and sit on it.
Sure,
There you
all
go.
of you noticed, despite this not being emphasized much, that IRIDIKRON and Neltharion are very, very similar.
Yeah.
Yet so far we haven't really seen any lore of them or heard of their any interactions.
I wonder how they
between the
met,
two.
if they
in
ever
fact, I
met.
would
I'm
literally
sure they
not
did in the
be
lore.
surprised whatsoever if Blizzard just all of a sudden revealed to us that these guys were brothers or twins that fought on two different sides,
Oh,
as in
that'd be
like they
cool.
were literal brothers. Both of them are aspects of Earth, have a very developed knowledge of the deep places of Azeroth. Both of them made so-called terrible bargains, and both of them seem to be very vengeful, warlike, aggressive, with their own hidden goals that don't really align with the rest of the Pantheon. However, IRIDIKRON and Neltharion were on the exact opposite sides of this ancient conflict. I even feel like Blizzard is going to draw a parallel here soon. There is a really popular theory going around that IRIDIKRON is actually using light magic, and
Dude,
that his terrible bargain was with the light.
Well, that's what I said. That's exactly what I said. I think the light might be playing both sides, right? You have the light from the dragon aspects, and now you have the light playing the primal incarnate side. They kind of funded both sides and said, "Go to war. Let's see who wins. Either way, the light wins." It's an interesting thought. And then the whole void usage by Neltharion, that was his call, and that was his bargain. Interesting.
Light itself.
I think
His
it's possible,
spells
man. The
seem
light's kind
light-like,
of,
they make the same sound as light spells, and he even
Oh, shit, I
looks
didn't
like
hear
a
that.
being of the light. This would kind of perfectly
The light's
go in
corrupted,
line
man.
with the fact that he is twin,
In its own way.
allied with the void, so the light would really be a perfect counter. These two dragons could leverage two cosmological forces that just absolutely despise each other for their own benefit. In fact, at this point in time, I would be surprised that IRIDIKRON had made an alliance with the old gods, seeing that Neltharion quite literally worked with them. So
Yeah,
it would kinda
Neltharion's
be
the old
weird
god
for them
guy.
to use the
I don't
exact
think
same
both of
power
them did.
source, even though they were fighting each other.
Funded
However,
both sides,
at this
said
point
go
in
to
time,
war.
all of this is of course
Science,
speculation, as we
US
still
World
don't really
War
know what IRIDIKRON's hunger
Clearly
was
it
and
works.
what force did he allocate
Clearly it's
to
a good
fight
strat.
the dragons. On the other side, we do know quite a lot about Neltharion. Now, of course, there are a lot of secrets that
both
we're yet to
sides.
discover with Inabras,
Either way you win.
10.1 and his experiments, but he has been a character in Warcraft for over 20 years, so we're very well aware of what Deathwing is capable of. I know it might be a little too early to discuss such a versus battle scenario, especially since we know so little about IRIDIKRON as he is this mysterious figure, but to make this a bit more fair, this comparison, I'd like to focus on
The
just
Infinity Gauntlet.
Neltharion. So not Deathwing, the crazy old god-empowered monstrosities that we had seen destroy half of Stormwind and they did a million other things, but
Yeah,
just
I think
Neltharion,
obviously if
elemental
IRIDIKRON fought Deathwing, he would lose, but that's not fair, as he's saying. Deathwing was essentially a void dragon, completely empowered to the point where he was falling apart and needed metal plates to hold him together.
dragon that was empowered by the Titans that dabbled into the void, and IRIDIKRON, an elemental dragon that fully
We might see
embraced
that
the
version of
elemental powers
IRIDIKRON
and
come out at
brought
the
them to
very
a
end.
whole new level,
Fully
and that
light
allied
infused,
with
crazy
some
looking
type of
dragon.
an unknown force. Just from Dragonflight alone, we have a lot of information about NELTHARION and his powers back in the day. As we already know, NELTHARION, as the Earth protective dragon aspect, was considered the most powerful of the aspects, at least in the raw strength terms. I would say, even without his Titan powers, he would have been probably akin to IRIDIKRON, but as he became the aspect, he was probably one of the strongest beings on Azeroth at the time. If
He was the dragon that lifted the most, for sure.
Keepers and a few other
he was the
beings.
do you even
Now,
lift bro
the thing
dragon.
is, it was Shadowflame and NELTHARION's experiments into the void that allowed him to become so incredibly powerful that he managed to defeat the Incarnates. We already have a few feats of strength he had done that we had recently learned. First off, we had seen how he carved out entire caverns with his laboratory, how he managed to create an entire drag tier personal army that he controlled with a stick. Then, when he tried to revert back to drag tier, his very loyal until that point in time, Black Dragon Adamantia rebelled, and Deathwing essentially froze her in time or just obliterated her with very powerful magic. Keep in mind, due to her ranking, this was almost certainly a very powerful Black Dragon, probably only a few spots below NELTHARION, which just goes to show how ridiculously stronger NELTHARION was compared to regular dragons, even the aspects themselves. There is a mention from the Jaradine and how their elders managed to very easily dominate dragons until NELTHARION showed up and apparently through his trickery defeated them with great ease. Then the most obvious important feat of strength was that NELTHARION had obliterated Razaget very simply. Now, he was definitely not capable of this alone or as a Titan aspect. If he was,
then he had to use the void for that.
I would definitely say the aspects were very much equally matched with the Primal Incarnates at that point in time, which is why the war was so terrible and apparently so long. However, with his void powers, he literally dealt with Razaget, such a powerful being, very much akin to dealing with a very minor nuisance. So we have NELTHARION, an elemental, naturally powerful dragon, significantly powered by the Titans and raised as an aspect, and then even more significantly empowered by void magics and Shadowflame. On the other hand, we have IRIDIKRON, the similar but very equally matched opponent. I'd say potentially even stronger, as
we don't know who
he
yet.
is still around, while NELTHARION obviously isn't. As I said, we can't really outright quantify due to the plot still being mysterious at the moment, but there is some information. I think it is pretty safe to say that IRIDIKRON was the most powerful incarnate and very much like NELTHARION. He was probably the strongest naturally as an elemental of Earth, but was significantly strengthened by his mysterious ally that he made a pact with. Based on the story, it was very likely he was the leader, and he is definitely leading the dynamic of the Primal Incarnate group, as we had seen from the recent cinematics. He is almost certainly as ancient and, as a dragon, very likely naturally as powerful as
NELTHARION Twitch streaming.
The dragon aspects themselves seem to be very scared of him and his terrible hunger, which could even potentially tie him to Galakrond, probably the strongest dragon that ever lived.
Well, I mean, that's who he reminds them of, obviously. And a never-ending hunger just goes back. I mean, every dragon thinks of Galakrond when they hear that.
What is most
that's how they describe
is that IRIDIKRON is incredibly intelligent, potentially the most intelligent of the villains we have dealt with thus far. Of course, it is a bit too early, but after the jailer, everyone is intelligent. He almost certainly has greater knowledge.
It is refreshing to hear an end boss say, to hold off. Understand that we are powerful beings who have defeated many, many bosses before with simple pug rates. I mean, come on, unorganized, and yet we still do it. So he understood that, and it's pretty interesting to hear him say, hold off. He had to hold the other dragon aspects, the other primal incarnates back, and he said, hey, we're not ready for this yet. Let me get a little bit more powerful.
Cosmological powers at hand and what is going on.
That was respect. That was respect. He respected us.
He didn't just straight out attack us again to Razaget, and instead he decided to hide, bide his time, and strengthen himself significantly before attempting to do anything crazy. We know he has a mind for strategy. We had learned of him in the past making alliances with the Jaradine, and he was very likely the war leader of this ancient dragon conflict. in terms of his actual powers, so far we had seen what he had done from the cinematics. He managed to acquire a humanoid form, raise the ground very easily to open the cellular caverns, and he, just like the other incarnates, completely obliterated the Guardians
like
with a
something
snap
Goku
of his
does.
finger, which are
Run away and
really
train for a
not
little
that
bit.
easy of a target. Of course, this is not some great feat of strength, especially for
Respect
some
the
big
enemy.
villain. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure any
he does that for
semi-powerful
sure.
dragon would be able to do the same thing, and these weren't really meant to show us that this guy is a powerhouse, but it was more like he knows something that we don't. So when we put these guys in parallel, who really is stronger? Neltharion, the Earth Warder, or IRIDIKRON, the Stone-Scaled? Earth aspects from different sides
Give
of
us an
the
answer.
coin. Now, we can look at this both ways. As I said, IRIDIKRON is still around and wandering the Dragon Isles while Neltharion is gone, but at the same time, IRIDIKRON was literally just freed and he was put in a prison by more than likely Neltharion himself,
Right.
meaning he had defeated him.
He had
Of
lost,
course,
yeah,
we don't really know
exactly.
if there ever was a duel, but I'm guessing we're going to learn this soon enough. I know it is a bit redundant to say, as we already know IRIDIKRON was defeated in the ancient past, although, of course, we don't really know if this was done by Neltharion single-handedly.
He could have been
but
tricked.
I do think that Neltharion could
Yeah, or it
actually
could have not
defeat
been a
IRIDIKRON
1v1.
single-handedly. As building from 10.1, Neltharion has been up to some really crazy things with Shadow Flame and his void discoveries, and he had significantly powered himself. And
Yeah.
in fact, we can see just how easily he dealt with Razaget. Now, naturally, I would say IRIDIKRON is more powerful than Razaget, plus
For sure.
he had his secret powers. We would, of course, need to wait to learn how IRIDIKRON was defeated in the ancient past to figure out why his mysterious powers failed him, but so far, all the favors seem to be on the side of Neltharion. Yes, IRIDIKRON is still
Maybe.
around.
Maybe the light had let him go. Maybe the light kind of bailed on him at the very end.
But who really knows for how long? Even Deathwing was around until recently.
Or like I
and
said, it
unlike
wasn't a
IRIDIKRON, he
1v1.
was actually
The
free
others
this
were gone
entire
already,
time,
and then
he was
Deathwing and the
wreaking
other,
havoc everywhere. So overall, I would say
Primal
Neltharion
Incarnates
was
fought 'em
stronger,
together. Or not the
but we
Primal
still
Incarnates, the
need to
other-
learn what secret IRIDIKRON
The other
is
dragons,
really
Alex
trying.
Straza and everyone else fought him
Thank you
together.
for watching. Check out why the community is outraged over the New World 3 by clicking on the screen, and check out Donald's Academy for
I don't
videos
wanna know
on
anything
real-world
about this.
history. See you next time.
Interesting stuff. So, I mean, I guess at the end, Neltharion was stronger, but we don't really know much yet about IRIDIKRON.